Growing up in Canada as an African immigrant child, I found it very difficult to assimilate to the Canadian culture because I was known as the African girl. I was called the African girl in elementary school. I was teased many times. So I remember one night I was conversing with my older cousin about how she dealt with being African when she arrived in Canada in the 1980s. She told me, well, she also had a very difficult time as an African girl, and they used to call her African booty scratcher. Sorry, excuse me to say. So African booty scratcher is a term that's used to describe African immigrants as people that live in poverty and always scratching flies off their body. And I remember asking her, how did you deal with this? And she said, well, one day I said I had enough and I beat up one of those kids that used to tease me. And I'm like, oh, really? She's like, yeah. And of course, after they all became my friends because they knew they couldn't tease me any longer. So at that moment, I started to rethink as to how I would be dealing with these type of issues in school. Ironically, that same week, I had gone to school with my new shoes my cousin had purchased for me. In the morning, before gym class, I was looking for my shoes. I couldn't find it, but fortunately, I did find it, but I found it without my socks. So I proceeded to wear my shoes without my socks in gym class. And of course, I saw 4 black boys walking towards me, teasing me because I didn't have my socks. I knew at that moment they had taken my socks, but I was too scared to say anything to them, so I walked away. A few hours later, I went to recess with 2 of my friends, and they came back to me again, teasing me because I was an African and calling me all sorts of names and asking me, in Africa, did you sleep with the lions? In Africa, did you actually sleep with the monkeys on the trees? Why don't you walk barefoot like you did in Africa since you don't even have socks to wear? I remember standing there upset and I'm like, what is going on? But something came in me and I actually stood up to them. I didn't beat them up like my cousin did, but I remember educating them and telling them about how rich our culture is and how when I used to live in Ghana, I never even walked to school before or never even seen a farm before. I told them I used to wear my shoes with my socks, but unfortunately they took my socks, so I couldn't have a socks to wear. I told them about the values that we have in Ghana and the values that I was taught at home to even speak tree. And at that moment, I knew I gave to Africa. I gave to Africa in so many ways that I could possibly think of because I educated them about us and also gave them values that they need to know about who we are. After my African girl incident, I came to the realization that there's so many ways of us giving back to Africa without actually going into our pockets or our wallets. I started to rethink about ways we can give. And of course, that's how I started my organization, Hands Over Hero Foundation. I thought about ways we can give by, of course, being the voice of Africa as African diasporas anywhere, or even Africans here, being the voice of Africa and telling people how good we are and telling people about the rich culture we have. And of course, changing the negative perception the media has portrayed about us. We can also give through giving value. When we give value, it means that we're educating people about who we are. We're also putting time into people through mentorship, and of course, giving things that we know that will help each other, uplifting each other. When I talk about giving value, I also talk about sharing our secret to success. Many of us are scared to share how we became very successful because we are afraid that the next person will get bigger than us. But if we do believe in the cycle of giving, and the more we give, the more we receive, we will know that when we actually give value, we are not giving value to them, but we're giving value to us as a people. And of course, when we also give value, it means that we are also taking the risk and taking the opportunities that we have, knowing that we are the main resources in Africa. When we take the risk, it means we're jumping from the small water to the big water, hoping that something big will happen. Because how could we be afraid of the future when we don't even know what the future has for us? We don't know how the future is going to be, but we're afraid of it. And when I mean taking risk, it means that we're locked in the door. We're locked in the door where we locked ourselves, and we have the keys inside the house. But we are crying out loud, hoping that somebody from the outside world will hear us and open the door from outside. Meanwhile, we have the keys in the same house, and all we need to do is search for the keys and open the door to opportunity by ourselves. We can, of course, give back through volunteering. Many times I volunteer in different organizations. And when we give back, we're not giving to the organization as a whole. We're also giving to the country. We're also giving to ourselves as people. We're also investing in our skills and also knowing that when we give, we're also helping the businesses we're volunteering for, helping them with their revenue because they're not paying us. We're helping the economy. So when my African Girl incident happened, these were all the type of things I thought about giving. And yes, you might be wondering what happened to the boys. After we transformed from elementary to high school, I actually ended up becoming friends with two of them, and we're still friends up to today. And not only did that happen to me, but my African Girl incident had changed me into the woman I am today. Today, I am here to tell you that I am the giver, I am the mentor, I am the risk taker, I am the future, I am the African girl, and I am who they thought I am. So today, I'm telling you guys to rethink about the ways you can give, without, of course, going into our pockets, but rethinking how we can give to make Africa a great continent. And this is Nadia Worth Spreading. Thank you.